Comparative Agility is the world's largest agility assessment, and our tool offers validated surveys designed by leading experts in specific domains. These surveys aid both teams and leadership in identifying sentiments and pinpointing areas for improvement. And they're also accessible to you. A popular starting point is Comparative Agile capability, which includes inquiries about agile practices and Scrum methodologies. It is developed by Mike Kahn and Ken Rubin, and these assessments swiftly offer a comprehensive snapshot of your organization's agility level. Furthermore, comparative agility evaluates how teams perceive their performance across a distinct dimensions of agility, such as teamwork, planning, and culture. Now let's go back to the capabilities page. Our platform specializes in providing surveys that delve deeper into specific organizational dynamics. We offer over 50 different surveys covering various topics. Most are focused on team and organizational improvement, but we also include surveys aimed at role improvement. With that being said, let's dive into comparative agility and how to utilize it. Once you log into your account, on the left-hand side is a navigation that is divided into 3 sections, where the first one is focused on gathering data and analyzing them. The second is about using instant insights for quick and anonymous team feedback, and we just launched Instant Insights 2.0. Be sure to check that out. Now, leveraging personal improvement module for growth and creating custom capabilities to suit your needs. Last but not least, the third section is where you can control and customize your application. There are different screens in the first section. For example, structure screen is a place where you can create a structure and send out surveys. Later on, we will use analysis screen to generate a report, and the report screen is where all of our created reports are located. What we are going to do is first we're going to set up a structure, which is a great way for us to organize our data. Then we will send out some surveys, we will get some data through those surveys, and then we will start to look at the analysis. And of course, we will look at the reports and start taking some action. Let's start with the highest level and create a folder. Once you click here, you'll be able to choose between create a team and create a folder. So let's choose create a folder and name it Imagine. This folder becomes a parent in a way. So now we can create more folders, and to do that, just go here, click create folder or team, and here we have some different options. We can create parent folder, child folder, and child team. Let's proceed in create child folder, and let's call it Program A. You have the ability to add as many levels as you want and need, but we'll proceed with creating a child team. So click here, create child team, and let's call it Team Avengers. And that's it. We now have a simple structure, and at this point, the important thing is that you set this up the way it makes sense to you. This is all it takes to get started, and if you're satisfied with the structure, you're ready to start sending out surveys. We will navigate to the team and click on this Add Capability button. And what Comparative Agility is famous for is that we have lots of really great surveys, and those surveys have 2 things in common. Number 1, they're created by domain experts, and number 2, they are validated by data scientists. I will proceed with Comparative Agile, which is our flagship survey, and click on Add Capability, and options for sharing the survey will pop up. Use our email system to invite teammates is sending email through Comparative Agility and tracking who has responded. You also have the ability to send reminders. This way, we prevent duplicate entries. We make sure that you cannot answer the survey twice. You can send reminders to people who still didn't respond, which means you won't spam people, which is always nice. Facilitator mode is conducting live surveys, enabling real-time interactions and important conversations with your team members. Copy and share the link is sending the link manually, but not tracking who responded. Share the link is same as copy the link, but it opens up your preferred email so you can send it manually. Last but not least, download the QR code, which you can then later share with your team members in any way you like. Today we'll go with the first option, use our email system, and let's add emails. Like this. All of these recipients will also be added to our team. Now you can choose email template, and default email template is the one you have on your account by default. You can create your own and use it later on. You also have the ability to update this one if necessary, and once you're ready, just click on send. Your team members will receive an email, and let me show you how that looks like. Here it is. Once they open it, they will have this button, Take Survey, and will open up a new window. Now in the survey itself, on the left-hand side are dimensions. In the upper right corner, there are different options here. We selected German language, but they can choose between languages here. Let's say Dutch. And it will instantly translate this survey. They can also choose between survey style, which is list, or single item, and they can select dark or light mode. Additionally, there are tooltips that explain the question further, and let me show that as well. Here they are. So this is considered as collecting responses, and once they finish with the survey, it will be shown on the structure screen. Now let's go back to the structure screen. So here you'll be able to see a number of responses, and let me show you why the first option for sending out the survey is amazing. There is a feature called notification history where you'll be able to see some information. You can see who responded, then you can see how many invites are sent, how many surveys completed, and percentage of responded. Additionally, you have the ability to send new email invite, which means that new person will be added to your team automatically. And you can also send reminders to all people or one specific that you would like. Just click on Resend Invitation. You can choose templates and then click on Send. Okay, now that we explained notification history feature, let's go back to our structure screen. And I would like to show you some other options available. Now, don't worry if you think you didn't create a structure that you like. You have the ability to move your teams and folders. Just select a team or folder you would like to move. Click on Move, select Where, and move here. It will be moved instantly, and then you can later move it again, delete, or use other options available to you. Additionally, you can also rename folders and teams by clicking on this button here, rename, and just change it like this. You can also take advantage of filters, and let me show you how to create one. Let's call it imagine. Now we choose available data and save. If you have multiple teams with any filter, you'll be able to locate them fairly quickly just by clicking at that specific filter. It will save you a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of teams. Now that we explained how to move teams, we are satisfied with the number of responses and you think you're ready to analyze, we'll head to the analysis screen. If you remember what we discussed earlier, analysis screen is for us to generate a report. And on the analysis screen, in here, I will use some test data to show you what that looks like. Since the quality of your analysis relies on a robust number of responses, we recommend that at least 60 to 70% of the people on a given team respond to the survey before performing the analysis. Now, what kind of data am I looking to compare? The screen is sort of split in two, where on the left-hand side, you have what we call target data that you're looking to compare, and data we've collected. And on the right-hand side, you have the data you can compare it to. You can take any of the data sets or any of the aggregation of these data sets and then compare them with anything you want on the right-hand side. Now let's dive into the benchmarks further. World's largest agility index has more than 4 million data points at this point, and it keeps growing. And it is the good, bad, and ugly of agile. It is a really accurate approximation of what is happening in agile today. Elite 8 is comparing to the best of the best, so to the 8% of the best people in the world. Industry-specific benchmark, so benchmarks from specific industry, and they can change depending on the capability. No benchmark is just purely to see how you're doing and not compare yourself to anything. In other words, it will display raw data. Use trends if you want to see how you're doing over time, and it can be quite useful as well. You will look at your progress over time, and this is great if you would like to send out the survey, let's say every 3 months, so you can track progress and take actions where needed. Compare yourself to the last period is comparing yourself to how you did the last time you did the survey. For instance, you do SAFE or PI planning every 3 months, and it is a shortcut to see how you're doing compared to the last time. You can also compare yourself to other parts of your organization or to yourself at a different point in time. We do not encourage comparing a team with another team, but you have that option as well. Now, what I can do is I can use a specific team to compare to the world index or even an industry-specific benchmark. And I can also use the aggregation of this part and compare it to anything on the right-hand side. There are a lot of possibilities here, and that is also a part of the strength of the platform. It is also part of what's going to give you a lot of richness as to why things are happening right now in your organization. What's the data telling you? All of these things are going to help you because you can slice and dice the data in ways that make sense to you. What we're going to do for this webinar is to do a simple report. And why don't we go here and say, okay, I'll use what I've selected, and on this side, I will use World Index. Let's name this report Acme versus world index. And before I click on create, I would like to show you these two options. So create and preview. Preview will show you what that report will look like, and it will not save. So we recommend choosing create option from the start so your report gets saved instantly. Now let's create this one. This is a big report, but it's going to be very useful to us. It shows a real-time response data, meaning that it will be automatically updated anytime someone responds. If we click on this icon here, we'll see which teams we selected and what benchmark we chose as comparative data. So I basically said, give me all my teams versus the world index. We will give you the sets of reports so that you can see how your teams and organizations are doing versus the index that you've chosen. Let's look at this from a few angles and what kind of insights the data give us. CA World Index in this case is normalized to 0, the horizontal line, which tells us that every time this team is doing better than the world, it will be above the line, blue or positive. And if it's worse or underperforming, it will be under the line, orange or negative. What we can see here right from the bat is that in some major dimensions, we are doing better than the world. And let's open Polar Overview. Here we can see that outperforming the world index here in most categories. What we can do here is we can exclude world index like this and just look at our data, or include and see how we are doing compared to the world index. We can also open each of these and see for that specific dimension. And of course also see their averages. Now let's go back like this. Now averages give you an idea of what the average score of all those people who took the survey is, and it also gives you a very quick view of which of the particular dimensions might need more attention than others. For instance, you can look further into technical practices, or let's say choose continuous integration, or even teamwork. Let's look at this. Here's another thing that I think we should include by looking at the data is distributional characteristics. And let me go back to this. What that is doing is visually illustrating the level of cohesion or agreement inside the data set. So what that means is it is telling you, so it illustrates graphically how those answers are distributed for that statement in particular. A long vertical bar tells you that the team members are not on the same page. For instance, if we look closer at knowledge creating, we can see that it is relatively large bar here that is telling you that the responses are spread. If you look at the averages for the same question, you would see that they have 3.45 out of 5. Or if we look at the differences from benchmark compared to the rest of the world, we can see that we are not doing well. Now let's look at heat map and open statements. Combining with other types of reports tells you if people are agreeing. If we find this exact statement, that is iteration reviews, are attended by product owners, stakeholders, and team members who provide actionable feedback. We can see how many people responded for each of the anchors. So 3 people responded, they strongly agree. 3 people are agreeing. 2 of them neither agreeing nor disagreeing, 2 are disagreeing, and 1 chose strongly disagree. So what can we see from the data here? Hey, not only we're not doing well compared to the world, we have a low score, and we can see that we are disagreeing with each other. Now it is up to the coach what they would like to do, and what this does is show us from the data perspective that this might be something we want to have a conversation with the team about. And let me mention that we are not here to give you the answers, we are here to help you ask better questions. With this as said, we're starting to get a very good idea of where we need to focus next, but what we don't know at this point is how all of these teams contribute to that score. So how do we do that? The only way to do that is to run the impact matrix, and I love this part. Impact matrix is a proprietary matrix that we created, and the point of the matrix is sort of twofold. One, to understand how each of the teams contributes to the overall score, and the second is to understand how you should approach the team and also how you should prioritize it in your improvement efforts. So impact matrix is 2x2 matrix that looks at each individual team's role in the overall data set. Look at the performance on the x-axis and cohesion on the y-axis. This is a map of all the teams broke down per their results and the way how they're rating themselves. Performance is how teams score on each individual survey item, and cohesion is a slightly more sophisticated way of measuring standard deviation. Let's look at these 4 quadrants. Amplify as high performance, high cohesion, indicating that they're performing well and enjoy a high level of agreement within the team. Examine their patterns, support them in their efforts, and ensure other teams in their organizations are exposed to their work. Align as high performance, low cohesion, indicating they're relatively satisfied with their performance, yet they display significant levels of disagreement within the team. Investigate further to understand the context and specific challenges. Mitigate as low performance, low cohesion, indicating they're performing poorly and are misaligned. It is advisable to consider taking immediate action and find out how you can help. Last but not least, improve. Low performance, high cohesion, indicating they're not happy with their performance, yet they're enjoying a great level of agreement within the team. This could indicate the team understands what needs to be improved, yet is otherwise being hindered from making the necessary changes to happen. In this case, as you can see, the world index is in the improve quadrant, as well as team 2. For example, this team, it is in an improved quadrant, which means that we could further read the report and work with them on specific areas. So to make their own report, just double click on that team and it will open up a new report instantly, and that report will be saved. So you can then go to the report screen and find it. Let me go back. Now, let me open this bar. The Insights tab is dedicated to taking action. It gives you a very good view of the key strengths and the key opportunities inside of the data we just ran. We can see right away where we are doing well. The largest positive difference is where we are doing fairly well compared to the world index, and where we're doing well in terms of the agreement. Key opportunities. Here we can see quickly also where we might have some challenges. For instance, statements with the lowest score. The question here is team members are kept together as long as possible. And this question has 3.27 average. That is not very high. There are other questions with the largest negative difference, statements with the least amount of agreement. So if you have a lot of teams, of course, you will have a variety of agreements there. So now that we kind of looked at everything, what are we going to do next? Well, one thing that we can do is we can open recommendations. In here, Comparative Agility recommend what you need to take a look at. So recommendations are based on your score, which the system believes you have the most use of. We have CA curated, author recommendations, and custom recommendations. Now for this specific capability, we only have CA curated. But let me tell you more about those. CA curated, so these recommendations are generated by AI and curated by comparative agility experts. They provide valuable insights based on data analysis and industry best practices. Author recommendations are created and edited by experts and authors within comparative agility. They also offer specialized insights tailored to specific assessments. Custom recommendations are the ones that you create, so your own recommendations allowing for a personalized approach to improving agility within your organization. It is a pretty decent overview why this particular question is so important, what topics it covers, and some questions. Here you can see what you need to do, and as said, some follow-up questions that can help you improve further. The Statements tab lists all the statements in that survey, where you can see averages for each statement individually and compare with the averages for chosen index. Let's go to the next Notes tab. There are two types of notes. We have remarks and reflections. Remarks are comments made by the coach on the structure screen, and reflections are notes that you can make right now as you go through this report. Just add it like this, click on save, and it will be added. Last but not least, I would like to show you action items. The action item feature allows you to track both scheduled tasks and completed activities, helping you keep track of progress and improvements. You'll be able to send these items to any tracking software you use. You also have the ability to create a new one manually by clicking on this Add Action Item button, or use any of the existing statements from Key Strengths and Key Opportunities. Let's say we would like to add this one, assign it to a team, done, and it will be added here. Let me show you what it looks like on the structure screen. Let's go to my account. And here is the structure screen we added to Team B. As you can see, I already added this one to my team, but here it is how it looks like on the structure screen. Here you can also see the description that I added. You can also edit, assign to another team, or remove. You can just click here and it will show up under completed. You can also click on move to pending and it'll be automatically show up here. Those are things that will help you accelerate your work as a coach and leader and it is going to help you do your job better. Now, I mentioned earlier that I will walk you through recommendations. So let me open settings and recommendations. As you can see, we have 3 types: CA curated, author, and custom recommendations. We discussed each of these while on the report, but let me explain them one more time. So recommendations are based on your score, which the system believes you have the most use of, and we have CA curated, author, and custom recommendations. Custom recommendations are the ones you create on your own, allowing for a personalized approach. Author recommendations are created and edited by experts and authors within Comparative Agility. And CA curated, these recommendations are generated by AI and curated by Comparative Agility experts. Here on this screen, you have the ability to disable or enable them, depending on your preferences. This allows you to control which recommendations are visible to users. Additionally, if you open any of these, let's say this one, and let's open it, you can add a new recommendation, also edit the one you created, or you can create own recommendation using CA curated text. You can also delete the custom ones that you created just by clicking on this delete button. There's one more screen where you can edit recommendations, and it is from the capabilities screen. And let me show you that. Navigate to the desired one, let's say this one. Click on the 3 dots and click on configure capability. Let's locate, let's say this one. And here you can add new recommendation, type in what you would like to add, click on save. Or you can also as well create own recommendation using CA curated text. It is up to you which way of editing recommendations is easiest for you, but just remember that Comparative Agility always gives you different options, so you can find the one that works best for you and do it that way. What I would like to show you next is users management screen. Now on this screen, you can do a lot of things, so let's start from the beginning. We have 4 different tabs here: users, invitations, restrictions, and roles. Let's go through each. The users tab displays all users who accepted the invitation and are now part of your team. We can see different options here, but first things first, let's invite a user to join. Let me use this one. So click on invite user. Once you add an email address, you can choose which instance we should add that user. Do not get confused. Instances are a way for large enterprises to support an appropriate separation of data access between different groups, while at the same time providing a global enterprise perspective. We will focus on one instance now, and then we have user role, and there are various roles with Comparative Agility. Let me open this for a second to demonstrate the roles that exist on your account. Also, in our help center, you can find a lot of different topics if you would like to learn more about them. Let's go to user management. And here it is. So we have super admin, owner, member, and admin. The owner is the entity that owns the subscription of the organization and has all privileges, including buying, upgrading, downgrading, and canceling subscriptions. They can also invite and remove members from an account and change member roles. An owner has access to all teams and reports created on their account. Super admin has all privileges as the account owner except the subscription part. Now, admins have privileges that include full access to teams, analysis, and reports. An admin has access to all teams and reports created under the account and can invite and remove members from the corporate account and change member roles. Now, last but not least, member has full access to collectors, analysis, and reports. However, a member is not able to see teams or reports created by other members. Now let's go back and send this invitation. So select a role that best describes what that person will do and proceed to other options. You can assign filters, restrict data, choose default PA capability, and once you're ready, you can click on invite. That person will appear on the invitations tab and it will remain there until he accepts the invitation. On the invitations tab, you can remove people you have invited if you change your mind, or just open it to see the information about them. So to remove that specific invitation, just click on the three dots and click on remove, like this. Let's proceed to the restrictions tab. Restriction in Comparative Agility provides a few valuable uses. Filtering data to focus on specific teams or projects, ensuring privacy and compliance by restricting access to sensitive information, and enabling customized reporting by narrowing down data based on relevant criteria. Based on your reasons, you can create restrictions by clicking on New Restriction, add a restriction name, assign to one user or different users, and choose available data. Now click on Save, and restriction is created. Now I would like to show you Roles tab. Here you'll be able to see all the existing roles and also create your own depending on your needs. You can also clone the existing one. Just click, let's use admin. Click on clone and then you'll be able to see what that role can do specifically. You can change the name, add short description, and click on save. Let me put it like this, test role, and click on save. And as you can see, that role is created instantly. You can see who created that role and also description. Also, if you would like to create a completely new role, click on this button. And you can also hover over these specific options. So you can see options and tooltips will appear. So for example, for this, manage categories allows to create and manage categories. You can do for each of these if you're not sure what it does. But yes, once you create one, it will appear here like this, and you can also delete it on this button here. And with this being said, we came to the end of today's webinar. Now, I hope I managed to bring this closer to you and explain the basics of the Comparative Agility platform. Besides everything that I talked about today, we offer many more features and possibilities. So, if you're interested in learning more, you are more than welcome to reach out to the support team. To find a way to contact us, just click on this info icon here and you can click on this contact us and it will open up a new page where you have our email, our contact form, and also our social media. Thank you again for being with me today, and please feel free to ask any questions.